Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us. We're here today watching another XTC 2021 match. I'm here joined with Tom Harper from the Australian team. Tom, how you going?
Good, Jim. Thanks very much for having me here.
Thanks for coming on, as usual. So we're watching a game with Team New Zealand versus Team Germany. We've got Jesse on the New Zealand side and Ilias on Team Germany. Tom, do you want to go through Jesse's squad here? We've got some HMPs.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So we have a bunch of HMPs. We have probably the linchpin of the squad on the left-hand side in the red HMP. We have DGS 047. His ability reads, after you perform an attack, if the defender is in your front arc, you may acquire a lock on it. And then if the defender is in your bullseye arc, it also gains a strain token. So the reason that that's so important is because of the chassis ability on these Bactoid drones called networked aim. So you cannot spend your locks to reroll attack dice, but while you perform an attack, you may reroll a number of attack dice up to the number of friendly locks on the defender. So the beauty of this squad is everyone's initiative 1. You're going to shoot with DGS 047 first. You're going to get a free lockout, and then everyone in your squad will get rerolls. So that's just a really nice kind of synergistic ability there. The second strain handout is a bit of a bonus. Probably don't expect that to come into play too often. Just watch out for the lock placement off DGS 047. DGS also has ion missiles, cluster missiles, General Grievous and Kraken, and of course has the configuration allowing the HMP to side slip. And then we have 3 HMPs with a couple of different little upgrades here. So the first one, yellow, ion missiles and cluster missiles, has seismic charges and delayed fuses. So it's going to be able to drop out some seismic charges or bombs and prevent them exploding immediately. So some really good board control there. The second one has Discord missiles and cluster missiles. So handing out some of those pesky little buzz droids to rip apart enemy ships. And DRK probe droids, so another source of target locks for the synergistic ability of network aim. And the final ship has Discord missiles again and cluster missiles, but no ordnance. And as I said before, all of them have that repulsor lift stabilizers to allow them to side slip across the board. So a really nimble squad, lots of charges, probably more charges than I own in real life, but a lot of fun. A lot of board control and a lot of kind of, I don't want to say fortressing, but I would probably say tactical stalling and able to kind of get a lot of play time from a clever use of those side slips.
Awesome. And we're seeing Ilias run this first order squad here. So we've got Commander Malaris, which is really great. Really good free rerolls. We've got 4 Epsilon Squadron Cadets and Vonreg coming in at a big 200 points, but it's still nothing to laugh at. Vonreg, in this case, still being a really strong ace. And we're seeing that set up in the corner. And as you said, like these HMPs have that ability to, I guess fortress is a bad word, but really play the field tactically. Bide their time and pull a squad like this into a corner where it's just not going to be able to turn around well enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's also important to note when going through, I think there's 2 important things to note about this FO squadron. One, we do have to mention that at least for the group stages of the XTC, the errata or the newly errated Commander Malaris in the Z shuttle is different. So we're using the old school Malaris ruling for the groups, the group stages, in that you can reroll your dice with other means before you're forced to reroll your dice with Malaris. So you can keep Major Vonreg within range of, or the danger zone of Malaris. But if he has a target lock, then he can reroll using the target lock before he has to force strain himself, which is quite nice. And another thing to note is that, why would you play an I6 ace at 200 points? Well, in XTC, I think it can actually be quite beneficial to just omit the bid or have some of your squadrons have a bid because it's so important to get those good matchups in the kind of in the pairing stage. What do you think about running this at 200 points, Jim?
It's good. You have a lot of firepower. You're missing toys on Vonreg to fill that that extra Epsilon Squadron Cadet. But this is a really strong squad. We've seen it out there. I'm quite sure I've seen it played on a few of the Gold Squadron tournaments happening at the moment. And it is a lot of firepower, regardless of whether or not you have that bid with Vonreg. He's still a double modding I6 piece.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So how do you think this engagement is going to kind of pan out? Do you think we will see that kind of the castle stall in the corner to force a bad engagement from the FO player? Or do you think Vonreg on the flank here is just going to be able to put enough pressure on these HMPs to force them out of their little corner play earlier than they normally would? How would you approach this little fortress at the left-hand side?
So I'm suspecting Jesse will play the bottom of the field and hopefully pull these FOs in through that asteroid field on the bottom right. He might make a quick punch towards Vonreg here just to kind of make sure he's not playing around, push him out of the fight early. The wider arcs on those HMPs really make it a threat as well for Vonreg to be cheeky at this stage. And we're just going to give the go-ahead to these guys as well.
Yep. So while you go ahead and do that, I'll just have a bit of a communication with the chat. So do remember that we're on a 90-second delay. So while we're going to try and be as interactive as possible, as per XTC rules, we cannot interact with the stream. With the actual game, and we must be on a 90-second delay to stream these. So Draco says that Ilias must be feeling pretty confident. He reckons that he'd just send in the mini swarm to slug it out with HMPs, and Major Vonreg can clean up the last the bottle top or two. The bottle top being, I guess, an affectionate name for these HMP gunships. And Suresh disagrees with the name bottle top and actually says he prefers the name pikelet. Very important distinction. I don't know if many people from the international community would know what a pikelet is, but luckily both Draco and Suresh are from Australia. But a bit of the Kiwis might know, actually. Anyway,
I'm fond of donuts myself, so I still go with the donuts.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So Jim will call them donuts. I'll call them pikelets. Draco will call them bottle tops, and we'll just see what happens. So omitting the stall initially from the HMPs, which is really interesting. Keep in mind that we can still side slip towards the bottom of the board here, where they are, and stall in that direction. So an aggressive play to kind of capitalize on a potential aggressive move from Vonreg and trap him. But of course, Ilias has called it and turned away. So what do you think? What do you think we do now? Are we going to see the HMP stall eventually, or are they just going to kind of get into a position and then just chase Vonreg? What do you call them, Jim?
I think they'll likely stall in this bottom right corner. They have the asteroid advantage if they do so. Pulling those FOs into that corner could work in their favor, although they could work themselves up the board here as well. We have seen that DRK probe droid come out as well, which I think is just in range for those HMPs to get early locks regardless. What do you think of Ilias's approach here? He is working on a really good open side of the board. Do you think he holds that advantage and just kind of plays around in that top area? Or do you think he's going to force his way down the board?
I think what Draco says has a lot of merit. I think just forcing these FOs to go in and play with these HMPs and draw up as much of their munitions and ordnance and payloads as possible is a really good play. Because the HMPs only have one agility, they're going to take damage no matter what, especially from such consistent double modifications from Molaris. So I think Ilias is just going to force the issue and then hold Vonreg back as his main piece. He could even use Molaris as a decent bruiser here to just try and roll dice and see what kind of sticks at the end. So I think the game is Ilias's to lose. And I think Jesse kind of needs to do this stall and pray that he kind of outweighs the FO swarm here. And Vonreg has too much to clean up at the end. What about yourself, Jim? What do you think?
Yeah, it looks like it's definitely likely that he's doing this as well. He's come in with the 3 hards. with the swarm here. One thing I do find interesting about the HMPs is that shippability with the locks. It's awesome to have all those rerolls, but I've seen some players spread out the locks and keep it as a one lock on one ship and make sure that they have consistent rerolls regardless of where they're shooting. What do you think of that? What do you think of spreading them out around a squad to get rerolls on any shot?
I think right now it is important to kind of keep the pressure on Vonreg just in case he does get a little overzealous and turns in. Like, for example, if he turns in this turn and Jesse calls it, there's just such a big no-go zone with so much ordnance coming through. But I do like the play eventually of spreading these rerolls around, because the HMPs with their 180 arc, they're actually really good at trading range 1 shots from very unexpected angles. And at that point, a single reroll combined with a Kraken calculate token is just fantastic. So I think initially scaring off Vonreg is a very good tactic. But then DGS 047 is going to be able to really throw those locks around willy-nilly later on to get that spread of target locks. So I think that's quite a clever plan. And the probe droids are just so good here as well. Like, as you're saying, if you do want to quickly turn around your target priority, just take a target lock from range 7 or 8 back where he is right now. Keep the target, the calculate tokens on the ships, and you can just trade target priority so quickly. So I do like this initially, but I think we will see the spread eventually. Who is your target priority here as Jesse, though, Jim?
That's the scary thing, right? You definitely want to get Kraken off the board as fast as possible, and DGS kind of enabling those free rerolls is quite annoying as well. One thing to note though is those the repulsor lift stabilizers haven't flipped yet, so we'll likely see Jesse push into this corner one more time and play that bottom right side of the field. What about yourself? What's the target priority here? Because each of these ships kind of has its own little tricks on it. Some of them have clusters. One has ions. I think there's bombs on there too, and buzz droids. So it is a little bit difficult to pick out one. But what's your pick here?
I think you want to get rid of DGS 047. Kraken enables double modifications at such an easy opportunity. And I think the Discord missiles, while frustrating for the FO player, being TIE Fighters and a Baron, the only one that it's really going to bother is Malaris. And Malaris can even just waste her shot in destroying the Buzz Droid, because she's always just kind of going to be up the back anyway. So I think you prioritize the Kraken, and then you probably prioritize the ion missiles in yellow, because they're arguably the things that are going to prevent you from doing damage, and the ion missiles are probably the things that scare Vonreg the most, because as soon as he becomes an easy target, then there's going to be a problem. And as you've called, Jim, we're seeing that kind of the straight maneuver one more time. I'm hoping that we're going to see the side slip flip, but looks like we're not. Oh no, we are slowly flipping. Yep.
Yeah.
Which means he's going to start enabling that castle in the corner. So really good play here from Jesse in the CIS or the Separatists, because he's effectively bullied Vonreg out of the way, and now he's forced to kind of re-engage with Vonreg. But again, like as Draco said, kind of plays into what Ilias wants to do, and that he just wants to trade his TIE Fighters for as many HMPs as possible and play from there. So what's your new game plan as Ilias? What do you do with Malaris? Does Malaris flank here? Does she turn 2 in and come up toward the right diagonal while the TIE Fighters kind of come through the asteroid field for cover? What would you do?
So the range 0 to 2 from Malaris means that you do have to keep them a bit closer. I think it's going to be difficult for these TIEs to come in and take advantage of Malaris's ability if we do see that hard turn. In saying that, those HMPs do need to come out of the corner. Even though they can side slip, they do want to come out of that corner eventually, because they would likely want to take advantage of those seismic charges after the ties have come in, and we are seeing Von Reg be a bit more aggressive here, looks like he'll take shots from all 4 of these ships these turns.
Yeah, with cover though, with the range 3 and the asteroid, he's going to be rolling 5 dice on almost all of them, and he doesn't have to reroll from Alaris, so no strain either, which is quite nice. Probably just going to take a shield here, and as we said before, Jim, you commented on stacking the target locks on Major Von Reg to kind of shepherd him out. Looks like Ilias called the token swapping. And he's actually piled all of the target locks off of Von Reg and onto the TIE fighters. So he's actually going to have no sources of reroll. So hopefully we actually see no damage on Von Reg. But I do think that the swapping of the target locks was probably pretty good. What does the chat think? What would you guys do in this situation? Yeah, so we're just going to try and blow up these probe droids here, and we successfully do, just to prevent any more little tricks going out. There's no sources of jam in the Separatist squad, but the target locks, just whenever he wants them at kind of any range, is very important. So here's the danger zone for Von Reg. We're going to see if he can survive all of this firepower. 2 dice primaries. What would you say? Any damage expected here on Von Reg?
It's unlikely at this range, but the dice can always swing. I don't think he'll push any through unless he's getting double hits on both those mods. But it is still 8 dice getting rolled at Von Reg. But as you're saying, he's losing off here from moving all those target locks. So
would you have kept him one more round?
I think it's always good to keep 1, right? You have your target priority. You have 4 ships, so you can always move 3 of those target locks and get full mods with what you've brought, and keep 1 on a target you might want to keep pressure on.
Yeah. So he did trade a shield on, I think it was DGS. Yep, DGS 047. So we've kind of identified Ilias's initial target priority. And he's done that for no damage on Von Reg. Do you think Von Reg's position is good here?
It's interesting. Von Reg still has opportunity to bug out here. That 1 hard looks like it does fit. So 1 hard barrel roll, just stick behind the swarm. There is opportunity to be a bit aggressive, but it's probably not the best move. You know that side slip's coming. You know that they're just going to pocket in those corners, and they'll be able to take advantage of whichever way Von Reg goes if he doesn't choose to disengage here.
Correct, yeah. I think there could be a bit of a cheeky use of the coordinate action from Malaris here as well. So depending on where we see these backdroid drones end up, a Malaris coordinate could be really handy in just throwing out an evade token or throwing out a focus token, etc., to get double modifications. And I'd say making the most of that asteroid one more time is probably in Von Reg's best interest. But what do you see what do you see Malaris do here? I really, call me controversial, but I quite like the 2 hard to the left here and come in behind Von Reg, coordinate if you need to, bring the TIE fighters up behind, not too aggressively so you can avoid those bombs, and just kind of attack from multiple fronts here. What do you think about that?
Yeah, he's got a good channel between those 2 small asteroids to bring the TIEs through and keep them in range of Malaris. But I think that asteroid just pocketed in that right corner is going to be a huge issue going forward. So that 2 hard from Malaris is probably the best bet. You don't want to navigate that same channel that the TIEs are going through, I think.
Yeah, correct. What do you think about the cheeky coordinate? Do you think he'll do it?
That's good. It gives Von Reg options. I'm just kind of like looking through them now in my head. You can kind of keep Von Reg on that side path, so there's still like a good opportunity here to, maybe coordinate a barrel roll and still do that 1 hard and give yourself opportunity next round to just hard turn back in, depending on kind of what the target priority is looking like.
Yeah, absolutely. I think facing back towards the center of the board here for Von Reg is quite good. It just delays that engagement one more time. What have we seen happen on Malaris there? Is that a stress token? Stress and a strain? Just wondering what that's from. Coordinate. He did coordinate last turn, it seems. Okay, so we'll just have to see. The dials haven't been set yet. So that rules out the 2 hard turns. Sorry, I didn't see that stress token previously, because you want to be able to keep the coordinate open here, I think.
Yeah, he's still not in a bad position to 1 bank, and then go through with another 1 bank or just a forward. I think kind of keeping that range to take advantage of Malaris's ability might be a bit difficult now because of that stress token.
Yeah, but it might actually be the time that you don't want Malaris's ability to fire, right? Especially for Von Reg. Like, you just want to keep him as clean as possible. And I think as soon as these TIE fighters engage, you want to make sure every single one of them are shooting at 1 target. You don't want the HMP player to be able to kind of pick on 1. So I think Ilias really needs to make sure that he plans his engagement as carefully as possible, and is able to jump in at the opportune time. That's kind of why I like the 2 hard from Malaris to set it up in the future. But we'll just have to see. Yeah, so we have Jesse dropping some bombs to prevent Von Reg exiting too quickly. But he's also dropped a delayed fuse on there, which means that the swarm is in some serious danger from this kind of middle asteroid in between the 2 larger ones. But looks like Ilias has called it quite nicely. So he's not going to be taking any bomb damage. He refuses to go down that channel. And Von Reg's also in a kind of a safer position now, because he's at no risk of taking bomb damage right now due to the fact that this seismic charge has got a fuse token on it.
Yeah, it's good. Ilias is really navigating those asteroids there and setting up the joust that he wants. As Draco said, and as you've said as well, just really wants to set up a scrum and face these guys head on. The HMPs do really suffer from that 1 green die. They go down so fast to focus fire.
Absolutely. And the FOs kind of have the inverse of that. They sometimes just do not die with 4 health and 3 green dice. So unfortunately, Ilias is going to be straining his ships before Jesse shoots back. So that is definitely probably advantage Jesse. But if Ilias plays this correctly and kind of, as he seems to be doing now, just avoids kind of even playing into those bombs at all, then you're losing quite a bit of points value on those HMP gunships if they cannot come into play. So no potential coordinate from Malaris, because we did have a bump there, and just a 1 bank from Von Reg. Interested to see what happens here. Arguably, you just take the focus, but this is where the beauty of spreading those target locks is going to come into play. So not only do we already have a target lock on Von Reg from blue, but DGS is going to be able to, DGS 047 is going to be able to shoot first and put a second one on there if need be. So all of these HMPs have access to 2 rerolls now, which is very, very good.
Yeah, and if it's likely that that bomb is going to remove that asteroid in the corner as well, so it won't be the obstructed shot.
Well, it's got a fuse token on it.
Oh, it does have the fuse. Yep.
Yep. So safe from the bomb explosion this turn, but I think he really needed to get that coordinate to get a second green token on the defense for Von Reg. So interesting to see what happens here. I think you just have to stay there, just focus and kind of sit. And that's exactly what he's going to do. So I think the coordinate would have been real niche there. I take back what I said about the 2 hard from Malaris. I think the turn in from these TIE fighters was actually really good to avoid that potential bomb damage. So good play. And we'll just have to see how much damage Von Reg can kind of weather here. So blue only has access to cluster missiles, which cannot be shot at range 3. So Von Reg is just going to be taking primary shots again, which is good, albeit all of them are going to be double modified. So this is where we could see some damage on Von Reg. So one of these TIE fighters just shot at the probe droid. So that's why we haven't seen any of these arcs being lit up from the HMPs yet, but those were the dice results there. So probe droids are out of the picture completely now. So the only way that Jesse's going to get some good target lock or some efficient use of target locks is going to be from DGS and the actual target lock action, which is still a possibility due to Kraken.
Yeah, he's kind of got the value out of it now though. Those locks that have a really nice spread across the field. He's got 2 on one of those tires, one on another, and one on Vonreg. So he's making the most out of the shot he has right now by using that extra one. But it is going to suffer later. Having that droid, that probe droid, just set up in the middle of the field for free locks at any range. Is awesome, and we are seeing the results here now because the reroll is in play.
Absolutely. So we actually saw too many dice rolled by Ilias there because it was not obstructed. But he is actually going to have to spend his his focus token right now. And we've seen a really clever use of DGS there. Takes an unobstructed shot, strips the focus token, and puts out a lock. So 2 rerolls in the bank for the HMP player now, and he's rerolling both here. Probably spends everything. Yep. So we'll see how much more weather Vonreg can take, and he's already starting to wear thin now. So there's extra modifications really coming into play there. I'd probably expect most of these HMPs to get 2 hits. So we might see shields down on Vonreg here. Coordinate coming in key there would have been fantastic. What do you think about this situation that Vonreg's in, Jim?
You definitely don't want to see him halved. It's likely that it'll happen, but he's not in the worst spot behind that asteroid. This one just being obstructed as well.
I believe it's unobstructed. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
And at range 2. Oh, there is half, and Vonreg's now down to 1 health left. So I think that coordinated evade or something similar would have been quite handy there. Now Ilias is in trouble simply because you can't sell those TIE fighters as cheaply as you could before because Vonreg is not going to be your reliable endgame piece anymore, whereas he could have been with full health. So what do you do to capitalize on that now, Jim?
Well, we know that seismic charge is going off, so we're going to see Vonreg get out of there pretty fast. I don't know if that hard turn will get him out, so I think we're likely seeing a 5 straight boost to get him away from that asteroid in the middle there. But do you think Jesse fits in the 2 hard left here? It gives him some good coverage versus possibly the X-Wings and wherever Vonreg decides to go as well, and sets up the side slip for the next turn too to get back into place versus these ties.
It does. The cheeky 1 forward might also be an option because then you're facing these TIE fighters straight away, and you can kind of either 1 forward and barrel roll because you've already got the Tiger Lock set up, or you can 1 forward and side slip kind of to the top edge of this board next turn. So yeah, he's got quite a good couple of options here. I'll be interested to see what the Separatist player dials in, but definitely advantage Separatists here. I think that was just far too much damage on Vonreg from probably a little bit of punishment from an extremely aggressive play early. So now you've essentially traded 1 shield on DGS 047 for 1 health remaining on Vonreg. So has to play extremely cautiously now. And the TIE Fighter is just going to have to 3 hard in and just joust. Just joust. So while they're setting dials, I just want to draw everyone's attention to the stream. So obviously I play for, not obviously, but I do play for Team Australia in the XTC. So we're currently 3-2 this round up against Malta. And Nobby is playing Dan right now over on Nickel City X-Wing. And he's actually playing a very similar squad to the one that Jesse's playing. So Nobby's playing Poe, Izzy, Tally, and Merle, and he's up against 4 HMP gunships as well. So we'll try and keep you updated as much as possible in that one. It's just started. 10 minutes have just gone by, and we're seeing some early stalls from the HMP player as expected. But Jim, back to this game. What do you think we see? What do you think we see from the FO player?
So it's likely we'll see the 3 hards to get these ties straight into the fight. That really crisp disengage from last turn means that if they do that 3 hard, they're going to be setting up behind that asteroid. which is something that I think Jesse really wants. He wants to play around this asteroid while he can, draw those ties in, and then set off that last of the seismic charges again. So I think Jesse is in a really, really strong position in this corner. He might just let Von Reg fly off here and focus in on those ties. It'll be, I think, a tough decision for Jesse this time. And we're seeing a bit of a gentle move in, which does give Ilias options. He does have a nice one turn next turn, depending on if Jesse does too hard. If he does the one straight, though, there is opportunity for a block, but he's coming out quite fast here, focusing on those ties.
Yeah, the side slip here is just going to be so clutch because you can really block up the movement potentials for these FOs and then just side slip in behind them. So this is some really clever use of that kind of maneuverability economy. And I do think you just completely leave Von Reg now because late game you only need to slip in 1 damage, which is very possible because for Von Reg to get his max damage out, he's really going to have to take that strain token or deplete token, but he doesn't want to do that, obviously. Seeing a target lock taken from blue here, swapping over to red. So probably going to load up red with missiles and some target lock tokens, and is splitting forces here. And I really like this as well because yellow has a seismic charge, and yellow can drop the seismic charge right in this bottom right-hand corner to essentially damage basically all of these TIE fighters, no matter where they go. So really, really good play there from Jesse. And he's also pressuring Von Reg as well, which is probably going to spell the end for Von Reg. Yep. So there we have it. What do you think about this play here, Jim?
It's great. As you said, there's still that room to side slip there, and I think it's too much of a risk for Jesse. For Ilias to even consider blocking those 3 hard side slips to the side of the board. He's got to try plan, and I don't think he can even turn in the hopes of punishing them. He might consider some 2 sloops from red and yellow to kind of keep the pressure on, or even split and just focus in to the middle. But he's going straight into that corner. As you said, that bomb, we know that seismic charge is coming next turn.
Yeah, and the seismic charge planted from last turn actually just spelt the death of Von Reg there. So massive advantage to Jesse here. I think the 5 straight forward and disengage was definitely kind of the only move that he could have programmed in, but still then at risk of some damage coming through from yellow and red, and still didn't actually see Malaris make the most of that coordinate action at all, which is interesting because I think Malaris, had she not have bumped, really could have assisted Ilias in kind of getting back into the game or getting double modifications here. So yeah, unfortunately, just some clutch blocks or some stress at the wrong time has put Ilias in a bit of a bad position, I'd say. Not a bad position, I should say, but on the back foot for sure. So who do you go for here? Do you just shoot the one that you've got mods on or locks on in terms of the separatists shooting at the FO?
Yeah, you just sink into that red one. The buzz droids are a good way to finalize that kill if you don't actually get it. But yeah, he's got good targets here. And one thing to note as well, both the yellow and DGS 047 haven't got their repulsor lift stabilizers active. So they're in a great position to just turn into this swarm as well the next turn.
Yeah, fantastic position, and then able to just side slip the next turn. So that's really, really good. So we're starting to see green be the priority. It's the closest HMP gunship. Probably going to do some serious damage to it as well. I suspect shields are going to be taken, at least. Yep, so we've got 2 shields down on green, and I believe 1 more FO to shoot after this one. So unfortunately, not getting the most out of Malaris's action economy here. Coming up with a couple of blanks. But the double calculate tokens, or the calculate token that was stored from Kraken, just being really, really clutch here in maintaining defensive modifiers for the Separatists player. Oh yeah, so that's absolutely painful. So we actually only did 3 shields to green from all that firepower. Malaris just really came up cold there and gave strain to every single one of these TIE fighters. So yeah, big swing there, I'd say. Even bigger swing towards Jesse there, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're likely to see that red tie just pop here with the strain and 2 locks on there. It's going to be tough. Who has the cluster missiles? All of them, right?
I believe all of them have clusters, correct.
So it's likely we'll see clusters go off from green and blue into red, I think, and just try and take advantage of that strain on the green tie as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the beauty of this is that Jesse's also set up a target lock from yellow on green. So these clusters are going to be able to shoot red and green with modifiers on both shots. So that's just fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so a good natural roll here. Only taking 1 shield off a strained tokenless TIE fighter. And we'll see what happens on the next shot. So the cluster missiles are being fired into green now for 3 hits. And we've already got half on green. So we might actually see 2 TIE fighters die here, which is absolutely savage. But Ilias is probably thanking himself that he's going to get his full complement of green dice for this next shot. Two more damage needs to be done to red to guarantee a kill here by the Buzz Droid. Doesn't look like we're going to get it though, and red's actually going to survive. But can we say the same for green? And that reroll really paying dividends. Unable to convert though. So I guess not paying dividends at all.
So the Buzz Droids.
Yeah, here comes the crit. It is a weapons failure, which is pretty big. So what do you do with the TIE fighters to kind of capitalize on the situation, or to try and make the most of the situation? The sidestep you probably know is coming, but you could also just do a 1 forward here with the HMPs. That being said, no calculate tokens on the green and the blue HMP.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard for Ilias to capitalize on whatever those HMPs do. I think the side slip is a really good kind of tool to manipulate your opponent as well, because you can still do those, as you said, the 1 forwards while it's active, which, as I mentioned earlier, it would be really bad for Ilias to attempt to block up these 3 hard maneuvers. So I think the 3 hard's coming no matter what. The 3 hard side slips, and yeah, it's difficult. I see Ilias probably turning in on yellow and red here, eating that bomb. He's going to have to eat it regardless, and I don't think he has a good option to turn in on green and blue here.
Yeah, fair enough. So I think yellow drops that seismic, that second seismic. I think the turn in might be good. Like, you could block up the 3 hard side slip, but that would require you to sloop. And if you've done that and the HMPs just do a 1 forward and barrel out of your arc, then you're kind of even in a worse state. So yeah, it's rough. And here's the seismic charge drop. So while we're seeing the systems phase play out, we do have the Sydney City Space Slugs chat user stating that 20 minutes have expired in Nobby's game, and there's been no engagement from either player. We do see the K-turn. So we're not turning in. We're accepting the Buzz Droid bomb. And we're going to try and get away from the seismic charge drop too. Now, does the 3 hard side slip fit? What do you think, Jim?
It's going to be close after this barrel roll. I think he needs to barrel roll back if he hopes to block it. It might still just fit in there It won't for blue. But again, there is that mind game with the side slip. If he's just done the 1 forwards,
Yeah.
he'll still have some decent shots here, even through the block. But it's definitely on Ilias here to make the most of it, and he is hoping to block up that space, which I think is a good move.
Yeah, so we've actually seen a bit of a tactical swap of the buzz droid by Ilias. So we had a K-turn done by red. He could have died from the buzz droid because he's only at 2 health left. But we saw the barrel roll actually come in on yellow and take the buzz droid off of him. So quite nice there to prevent red being killed immediately. And now both ships have bumped into red. So red is not at risk of dying this turn unless these other factoid drones do some funky stuff. Do you flip your repulsor lift stabilizers on yellow and red here, or do you just turn in next turn?
You have such a clean turn in next turn. You got an easy 2, possibly even a 3 hard. I think the 3 hard's red though, isn't it?
I don't think it is. No, it's white.
It's white, yeah. So you've got an easy turn in and then a repulsor lift the next turn. So he can just keep those shots on. And it doesn't look like he's flipped either of them as well. So he's definitely noticing that.
Yeah, the time on target is just so strong with these HMPs, right? Just so strong.
That's what's scary. Like you look at it and you see, 8 dice from primaries. So if you're staying outside of that front arc, you're only really getting those little plinker shots. But the fact that they can just keep those on you for the game while you have to worry about re-engaging and possibly having to do sloops, K-turns, or Talon rolls to keep in the fight and then not have mods, it's scary. They just keep pushing that damage through.
Absolutely. We are actually going to see that bomb strip a shield off every single one of those HMPs, though, and get half health on green, which is a rough time, but you're probably going to make the most of this engagement regardless. And we did pull a shield off of blue, the blue FO, and did a damage to green. So just 1 more damage until green's dead. And a weapons failure on red as well. Who do you shoot here? Do you just take out Malaris, or do you keep going on these TIE fighters for the Separatist player?
He has preemptively moved that lock over to Malaris, so he might take some shots there. I think there might be ion missiles 2 to 3.
Yeah.
Is there opportunity to kind of get the ions off here? Do you think that's a possible tactic? You're only really sinking it in from the 1 ship because it is red's lock.
Yeah, I think you probably just fire damage dealing sources here because Malaris is probably going to be jammed up no matter what. Next turn, the ion is probably not going to do that much. Yeah, I think you probably do clusters here, or just primary weapon shots.
Yeah, so I think Malaris is kind of the last of your worries as well. Once you kind of pick down the ties, Malaris just can't navigate around these HMPs.
Oh, correct. The HMPs have such a maneuvering advantage there. So I think you're probably backing your HMPs to deal with Malaris late game. So we're actually unable to remove green as of yet. So that's quite large actually. It's quite a big turn for Ilias, in that he just cannot get enough damage into green. Not getting enough bang for buck from these Malaris rerolls. That being said, the kind of pivotal shot from yellow to finish off the job was not double modified because he did take the roll in to strip the buzz droids off of red. So I think it was a good move, but it didn't quite pay off because he only got 1 hit there. And he is gonna, the Separatist player in Jesse is going to just put all of his guns into green and try and remove ships here, which I think is a wise move because he does have all of the modifications in the world. Does have a focus token to spend, so that's good. and I think he's going to save DGS 047 to last. So depending on what Jesse cleans up here, he can use DGS 047 to kind of claim locks later in the game. So that's quite good. And that is green removed. So a bit of a rough game for Ilias here. I think losing Von Reg a little bit too early and not really being able to sink enough damage into these pikelets. And we are seeing a target priority swap to Malaris here. And you'll have to excuse me. We actually saw DGS shoot early. That's what you said, Jim. In that they swapped the lock over kind of first thing, didn't they? With DGS 047, the red one.
Before he started.
Okay. We'll see what the arc pops up in just 1 second. And yellow takes a shield from the buzz droids. So what other ordnance do we have? Sorry, munitions do we have? We don't have any more bombs. So the K-turns are active, and as are the sloops. So you probably see yellow do a K-turn, try and finish off green and get points on the board. If anyone knows in the chat, if they could let us know what the record is for this matchup. I'm not sure how many wins New Zealand or Germany have against each other here. I know that Blair Gray did win against the German Republic player. So I know that they're at least one up, but I'm not entirely sure what the rest of the scoreboard is.
I think it was 5-1 Germany's way. So Germany, I'm pretty sure Germany have already won this. But Jesse was very keen to make sure they don't get an easy victory. Okay,
nice.
And he's definitely not giving them one.
Yep, absolutely not. I think advantage Jesse here. I think it'll be some very crazy variants in X-wing flying to seal the deal for the FO here. So real quick, while they're setting their dials, I just want to give a bit of an update. So no damage has been done over on Nobby's game. We've got 47 minutes left. And we might even have a final salvo. We'll have to see. What do you think we see here from the Separatist player, Jim?
We'll see red and yellow. So the DGS and the generic just turn in here. I think it's easy for them to just do a 2 or 3, likely the 3, so they avoid that asteroid on the side slip if needed. The next turn. Green and blue. I think green's in a great position to kind of just keep a block here. You can keep Malaris out of the fight, only on 1 health, so you may as well just chuck him in there. Blue can actually do the same, but there's still opportunity for blue to just kind of play slow here. If Ilias hasn't predicted just that 1 forward, blue would still have some really nice shots, I think.
Yep, 100%. I think the 1 forward is nice and cheeky as well. We've seen all of the repulsor lift stabilizers flipped, so we have to do normal movements this turn. So, yep, it's going to be very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, I think Ilias here has to commit a few of these ships to clogging up that area still, because he doesn't want that repulsor lift active, because it has to be after you fully execute a maneuver, right?
To flip it to side slip mode, yes, you have to fully execute.
Yeah, so there is an advantage, and there it is. Reds come in to just kind of sit there in the middle to blocking these HMPs up to stop them from side slipping.
Clever.
But I don't think he'll be able to get ahead of yellow and red. But he does have good channel to block up yellow and red the turn after if he doesn't lose his red TIE fighter here.
Yeah, if he doesn't lose too many resources, absolutely. So we did see a stop from blue. So kind of getting behind red probably can finish him off, while the other HMPs get in the flank here and try and kind of seal the deal on these FOs.
Interesting as well.
Yep, you go.
Because the stop fully executes, he does flip, and he has flipped the repulse lift, which gives him the option for the slide next turn. And I believe the 2 hard is blue as well, so it's a blue 2 hard side slip. So good.
It's so good. It's absolutely disgusting, but a really unique and interesting ship, though, I must say. And haven't really seen that much success kind of outside of these unique team formats. They just don't seem to have enough metal, I guess, in the wider community at like a generic tournament level. But in these team matchup kind of formats where you can really guarantee a good or at least even matchup for them, they seem to really shine. So yeah, chat, what do you think of archetypes like this? Just like mass upgrades and munitions and side slipping fortressing. What do you think?
Actually, I love it with the HMPs. I think there's a bit more thought that has to go into it, rather than just blocking up your ships in the corner and having your upgrades play into it and keep your ships healthy. You still have to consider where you want to fortress. You can just fortress in your own corner, but as we've seen here from Jesse, he's made a really good tactical play to move over to where those asteroids advantage him. And I think he did place 2 of those rocks in that corner as well, so he probably had the mind to do it from the get-go. Yeah, and we have received an update from one of the NZ team. The score is 4-2 Germany. So Germany have taken it, but Jesse's goal is to keep him honest and make him 4-3 and make him really earn this last one as well.
Yeah, nice. And I think he's succeeding as well. So we saw some target priority shifting into Molaris there. So kind of making the most of the situation that Molaris is in and stripping some damage down. So Molaris has lost both shields and taken a damage as well.
A damage sensor array. Yeah.
So red is likely going to be taken out here. 1 reroll coming in, thanks to the network targeting, and does not convert, unfortunately. But does see the red TIE fighter go down by taking a crit, which is another damage sensor array. All right, so all of them are gone. You can safely avoid these buzz droids now. So Lloyd 186 saying that he thinks it's a fair assessment of the HMP and that they'll carry an average play to 4-2, but they do top out in the first round or so of the top cut. Yeah, I agree with you, Lloyd. I think there are some squads or some squadrons that do have no game against them. And then there's some that just kind of trounce them as well. It's kind of like the four K-Wings, probably a little bit stronger than the 4 K-Wing squads, simply because they're probably a little harder to outmaneuver. The K-Wings take up a lot of board real estate, but they really kind of can't accurately get their front arc munition shots off, simply because they're just such a large base and things can outmaneuver them quite easily. So just kind of seeing, dials being set here, some absolutely savage damage going into the First Order Squadron.
We saw a damage sensor array going to Molaris as well.
Okay, damage sensor array, or is that a damage engine? Damage engine.
Oh, damage engine, sorry.
Yeah, so we've only got 1 health left on Molaris, and we've got shieldless yellow and blue. We did also see the green HMP go down, I believe, or have my eyes deceived me? No, it is gone.
It is gone. I do love these ships. I love what the chat said here. So Lloyd has also said the gap between the ceiling and the floor with this list doesn't appear to be huge. And you're right. putting this in the hands of a good player is how it makes that top cut. And I think that's really looking at a lot of squads. That's what we would hope out of the game, is that the top cut is made up of people with a skill to take a good squad up there, rather than just bringing the right squad. And you are right. There's a lot in the meta right now that really burns down a single HMP. If you lose one of these HMPs in that first, even second engagement, before it even gets to shoot on that second turn, you're just at such a loss, especially if it's Kraken.
Oh, absolutely. And the problem is these HMPs are often very low initiatives as well. So there's so many kind of, a couple come to mind, Resistance 5s, the Delta 7B Jedi mini swarm as well. Stuff like that can really burn down these HMPs just too quickly. And I do wonder if generics get toned down a little bit, if we'll see squads like this one and the K-Wings kind of come back to the forefront. Be a really interesting couple of months, and I'll be very interested to see where AMG takes the game, if they decide to do anything at all. So yeah, very, very excited to see where that goes. So we're seeing some K-turns here from the TIE Fighters, and some side-slipping goodness from these HMPs. Looks like Yellow has stopped to try and kill Malaris here, and Red did a side slip. So we'll see what Malaris has done. They might have caught her in a little bit of a, and they did. They caught her in a bit of a triangle there. So their 180 arcs just really paying dividends. So without a 180 arc, Red would not have a shot there, most likely. But that 180 arc at range 1 with 2 rerolls and a calculate is just such good value.
Ooh, and Malaris not going down without a fight here. We're seeing hit it crit into blue, so that's a shield and a hit crit.
Okay, so another couple points being taken there, and it is a fuel leak on the blue HMP. So I wonder if these TIE Fighters can kind of finish them off here. We do have a potential reroll coming from Yellow, but as you see, Blue is just out of range from Ilias to get a reroll there. So got to try and take down Blue with them.
There we go. Just one, and you're safe.
No. So the only way Yellow could get it is a hit crit and a blank out from Blue. So we've got the hit, reroll into the crit. I'm calling it now. Come on. Get a bit more spice for the FO player. And we've just seen an upgrade. We've just seen an update from Cam in the chat as the Sydney City Space Slugs kind of title there. So 39 minutes remaining in Nobby's match and still no engagement beyond shots at probe droids. Interested to see how many probe droids have been fired. But I'll be really interested to see who kind of comes out on top of that. If people in the chat would have bet against a Resistance 4 squad, Resistance Aces up against 4 HMPs, who would they put their money on? And Jim, also like to hear what you'd think.
I'd say those HMPs just on paper. You know that they can just sit in a corner. And the A-Wings just... They could be cheeky and fly into that corner, like just with the hard maneuvers and make use of that rear arc and get some shots. But you really just don't. It's so hard to approach these droids once they're in a corner if they've timed it right. And when you've got these low hull and low shield ships like the TIEs or even like the A-Wings, just that one dice result that doesn't work in your favor can absolutely rip you. So we've seen Malaris get taken off here, and I think
Yellow's lost 2.
Lello's got 1 left.
Wello's got 1 left. And could survive, and does. So we're going to be able to try and take Blue off the board here, assuming that we don't get kind of blocked and get shots in. So the kind of game plan here, I guess, for Ilias is to leave Germany with the best mark possible, knowing that they've already kind of won the match, and trying to bring the score margin to as close as possible. So DGS is 2 away from half. Blue is 1 away from dead. So I think that's just your target priority here. You just try and kill blue and take half off DGS 047, and probably accept your defeat graciously here. So really interesting squads. What do you think of the? I know we talked about it briefly at the beginning, but what do you think of that first order archetype? Do you think it's received a bit too much of a nerf now that Malaris cannot re-roll from outside sources and must have that detrimental effect first? Do you think we'll see her stick around?
It's worth considering. Like, you can change Malaris now to a different pilot, and still kind of get effectively 3 dice instead on these ties if you're shooting into a damage target. So you're still getting that same value of a reroll by adding a dice result, but you do have to hit a damage target. I think now with that change, you're unlikely to see. I think you're unlikely to see Vonreg besides this. It is very risky now having that ace fly near Malaris. And I think just the full swarm next to Malaris is probably the most efficient option.
Correct. Yep. Absolutely. And Initiative 1 pilots outside of matchups like these don't really care about the strain effect. But losing initiative against HMPs that are also Initiative 1, you're not really able to block them, and you are forced to take strain if you roll blanks. That's pretty rough. That's pretty rough in a matchup like this.
Yeah, and bringing up that losing initiative, both squads here are at 200 points. So we can imagine this would have been a really different game if the initiative had been switched as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did see blue shoot into DGS 047 there, and a cheeky use of Grievous to prevent half health being taken and prevent a crit being dealt there. So it's a bit of a shame for the FO player. So I think that this shot is now into blue, and blue has avoided the damage too. So big blow to the FO player and trying to kind of equalize the points here. So we'll see how much damage he can weather from the return shots. But I have a feeling we're going to see yellow destroyed here. And I've been informed that we have the first shots going through in Nobby's game. So very interesting. I'll be interested to see if any damage is dealt. I believe there's 30 minutes to go.
And we're seeing yellow taken off here.
Yeah.
That last damage just going through. Shots into blue, who is at full health.
I believe a shield has been dropped, but otherwise, yes.
Oh, that's cheeky. That's a ion as well.
Really to rub salt in the wound. And does not ion though, luckily. So, oh no, it hits, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does 1 damage, but
missile.
no ion results.
That's right. Ion missiles and ion cannons work exactly the same way. That's right. So what do we see here? You're going to try and kind of... I don't know if you're going to be able to do both kill blue and kill half DGS 47. If you're Ilias here, what do you do? 2 sloop, 4K. The buzz droid is kind of blocking the 4K there.
Yeah, that buzz droid is really in a really
5.
nice spot right now. I just see the 2 sloop. I mean, you got to decide what direction you want to 2 sloop here, but it's like yellow is likely to block it, and blue and red still have very good opportunity to keep arc here. So I think there's very limited options for Ilias to keep blue in the fight here.
Yeah.
Without the sloop, but the sloop is still it's very visible.
Yeah, 100%. I love the sneaky use of General Grievous there, just a really cheap kind of damage mitigator. But I do wonder, from a thematic point of view, where Grievous is in terms of this ship. I don't believe they have any crew slots, and the only way that they carry things is those like droid grapples underneath. If anyone's ever played those Battlefront games, yeah, the only way that they kind of carry things onto Republic carriers or onto the field of battle is kind of like in these brackets underneath them. So if anyone in the chat could let me know where Grievous is hiding on these ships, I'd really appreciate it.
Do you think he's just strapped to the bottom? He's wearing the HMP like a jetpack?
He can breathe in space, right? We saw him do that in episode 3.
We did, didn't he? Didn't he just crawl outside?
Yeah, he jettisoned himself. Yeah, that's right. So he could be just strapped on, but it doesn't seem very safe and not very in character for Grievous, is it? I don't think.
I mean, is it really safe to be aboard any of these ships?
Probably not.
In a dogfight? Probably not. But, you know, General Grievous here, he's done work.
He has done work. Absolutely. He's prevented points being done, which is enough. But we are going to see half health taken from Grievous here. He's going to be able to save 1 point of damage, but half is going to be dealt. So let's see what the crit is. A weapons failure would be really nice for Ilias right here. It is a panicked pilot, not the biggest deal in the world, considering we've got both the two hard options and the 2 side slip options as blue, and a couple of those straight maneuvers as well. Could this TIE fighter do it? Could he bring it back? He's had no shots returned here, and I think he's in a pretty good position to isolate blue and get the kill. What do you think, Jim? Is there a world where that happens?
Look, there's still 14 minutes on the clock. We had a game the other day where we were absolutely jaw-dropped by the result. So
Is that my game?
It was. It was.
Yeah, that was brutal.
It just, you know, it always looks like someone's out, and DICE can do whatever they want. So it's not too late to call it. And it does look like Ilias has his head in the game. I'm still surprised that blue avoided 2 shots there with that 2 sloop.
Beautiful 2 sloop, absolutely. I think we see a stop from yellow here, just to absolutely make sure that you're going to get shots on. And I wonder if you just exit the fight with blue, or if you're just trying to seal the deal here as quickly as possible. What do you reckon, Jim?
Seeing that side slip from red, more than likely. Do you think he side slips left or right with red here?
I think he goes right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Blue's out of there.
Straight move, yep. Bit risky though, isn't it? Because if variance does do its thing and we still see blue go down, you know, we're edging closer to to ever somehow killing red as well, which is pretty big.
Yep. As I said, it can still swing in the favor of Ilias here. We're seeing a barrel roll, and he hasn't flipped that repulsor lift stabilizers either.
And I don't think he's actually avoided arc with that barrel roll either. I think he's still going to get shot. Now he's also denied himself tokens. We did see the left side slip, so we're going to remove one of those stressed, and we didn't see a stop, but we did land the maneuver, luckily enough. So let's see if blue survives and takes down the blue HMP with him. Oh, do you spend it? He's just doing it, trying to get as many points as he can. Double natties does not happen. So he does kill blue, luckily, and we'll see if he can survive 2 shots in return with no modifiers. Sometimes 3 dice just say no.
Quite often 3 dice just say no. It is the cause of a lot of salt being spread over these tables.
Let's see how much salt Ilias can lay down.
Get that reroll value.
Yeah,
There it is.
Crit coming in. Ooh, they almost say no. Panicked Pilot, so no turnaround from blue. That is likely, if game wasn't already decided, that is probably it. And one reroll. Okay, so not going to be able to get all three here. Let's see if the dice say no. And they not. So that is game. Well played by both players. I think, I'm not sure if Cameron said that we're going to jump over and have a chat to them after the game's done or not. But if Cameron could just let us know. You did. So Cameron did say that we're going to talk to them.
Yeah, so let's actually jump in right now.
Should we jump in now or let them debrief for 1 second? Give them a minute. So can the audience hear you, Cameron? Okay, no one can hear Cameron. I'm just going to quickly have a look at Nobby's game and just give the audience a bit of an give them a bit of an update. So we've got 23 minutes remaining. We've got a shield down on DGS 047, which is the same pilot that we saw used in this match. No damage to Nobby. So yeah, I'd be very interested to see what happens in this game. Okay, so we did end up with what, 4-3 Germany's way here. All right, jumping up.
Okay.
Are they coming to us? All right, we'll just wait until Jesse jumps in. Okay, thanks so much, guys, for both appearing on the stream. I'll just let's just start with Jesse and the Separatists player. So congratulations on your win.
Thank you very much.
Now the placement of the rocks were the two right-hand side rocks up the top of the board placed by yourself?
No, actually, I placed the bottom. What on the stream would have been the bottom two corner rocks. Actually, I think I placed the top one, and Ilias might have placed the bottom one. I can't remember.
This was my first rock.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and then my first rock was the top one in this corner, and then I think Ilias placed that one there, and then I placed the one along here, and then that was Ilias's third one, and then my third one was this little one here.
Okay, perfect. So I just want to ask, a lot of the time when we see these HMP squads, we see a bit of a stall in the corner. Now, as soon as Ilias deployed Vonreg opposite your little swarm, did you decide to sidestep in a different kind of area? Did you just decide that you were going to take the fight to a different place of the board? Like, what was your game plan going in?
So my game plan with HMPs against something like a swarm always has to be to pull them around obstacles. In a direct engage, it's not super unfavorable, but it is kind of a 50-50. Just with Malorus giving their swarm double mods and then target locks giving my swarm double mods, it's kind of just comes down to dice who comes out in a straight joust. So it's really about just kind of pushing them around the rocks, trying to get a better engage than they can get. And so my plan was to create a board edge the ideal plan is to have an L shape. So I can go down either my board edge or along this board edge and sort of have that safety of the rocks around me. In this case, it was just this one board edge, and it was sort of play around this board edge and see what my opponent does, whether he comes at me down the top lane or whether he wants to come through somewhere else. And that just depends, the speed on which they're going depends where I side slip into the board edge and turn around, basically.
I thought it was fantastic use of the board rock deployment, of the obstacle deployment, and I really enjoyed kind of your use of delayed fuses and seismic charges as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, congratulations on the victory. I thought it was a really kind of good showcase on what these HMPs can do, especially the use of DGS 047 and splitting fire, splitting up your formation, and then using side slips to kind of to come back in. Now, Ilias, when you lost the first player role, what did you think?
So I think it was not good, but it was okay because I did one training match and I lost the player role in this too. So I had like a little bit of experience of flying first against the HMPs. Yeah. So
Cool. Okay. Cool. So what was your game plan going into this as well?
yeah. So the game plan was to make him split his forces up. Did go on, but the plan was not to not lose one wreck so all in the game. But it was a great day.
Yeah, so unfortunately, sometimes these things happen. The seismic charge loss was very unfortunate. But yeah, look, Jim, did you have any questions for the guys?
No, I did want to ask. Actually, I did want to ask Ilias. How have your other matchups been flying this squad at a full 200 points as well?
So I was my first match with this list.
Yeah, Ilias is subbing in for this week. So he's done a great job, flying the list, and it was a really tough match.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, if this was the first time you ever flew this squadron, then I think you did a fantastic job. I mean, maybe an early movement change with Vonreg to kind of exit the fight, but apart from that, I thought you did a really good job in maintaining arc. Look, well played by both players, and rest easy, I guess, Ilias, that Germany has won the round. But good job, Jesse, in kind of making them pay for it in the last round there.
Always trying to keep it competitive. No, it was a good game. Thank you, Ilias. It was very fun.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, thanks so much, guys, for appearing on the stream. Good luck for the rest of the matches. I think for the rest of the streamers, for the rest of the audience, if you wanted to jump over to Nickel City X-Wing, we might actually just try and show some of the footage here. Is that what you're saying, Cameron?
Yeah, we're going to do a raid on Nickel City.
Going to do a raid on Nickel City X-Wing, apparently. So if you wanted to stay tuned to see